Okay, so it seems that Mitt Kevin is actually leaving YouTube. We gotta talk about that. Also, the annual symposium at Jackson Hole is today. The speech is gonna be at 10 a.m. I'm gonna tell you everything I think is gonna come out of Jackson's Hole. And also, Elon Musk scores another win over Twitter, this time in the courthouse, believe it or not. A lot of new developments. Let's get to it. Hey, if you stayed after that intro, you're part of Team Nash. Welcome aboard. Now look, the first thing we have to talk about is Mitt Kevin. Apparently, Mitt Kevin just posted a video. He's absolutely seriously leaving YouTube. Now, here are my thoughts about this. First of all, I'm not a Mitt Kevin hater. I know there's a lot of people out there gunning for Kevin, have criticism over Kevin. I'm not one of them. I like Kevin. I'm a fan. I think what he's doing is important. I absolutely respect his work. Now, did he make mistakes in the past? For sure. But did I make mistakes in the past? For sure. Did any human in history make mistakes in the past? For sure. Warren Buffett once said, if you put a cop on somebody who's driving in the road every single moment, 24/7, he's going to catch him at a million different things he's doing wrong. Everybody has mistakes. Everybody has flaws. We're individual human beings. By definition, we're flawed creatures. That's how the world works. I hold nothing against Kevin. Now, I'm a fan, and I think what he's doing is actually even better than CNBC. I said it on my second channel. What he's doing is basically bringing the news. It's absolutely unfiltered. It's easy to understand, easy to follow. He's good at it. There's no silences. There's no embarrassing moments. It's not cringe. I think he's doing a better job at CNBC and actually bringing you the daily news. So I'm sad to see him go, but I have mixed feelings about this. I'm also kind of happy because I know that where he's going is exactly where he really wants to be. Kevin is starting a new business, he's raising money, he's starting a new company, and he wants to focus on that. So he's following his dream into the next step. We all develop, that's what he wants to do next, and that's fine. So I know that he's going to do something he loves and potentially even make a lot of money following his passion, so why the hell not? Absolutely 100% behind him. And if he ever wants to come back, which I think he will in a few months because he loves YouTube too much, I'll be right there saying, welcome back, Kevin. Good to have you back. You're an important, integral part of the financial community. So good for Kevin for following his dream. And I can't wait to see him back because I'm sure he's going to be back, and that's a good thing. Now, moving on, let's talk about Jackson Hole. Jackson Hole is today at 10 a.m. Jerome Powell will speak to the nation. He will come down from the mountain, and he will tell us how good or bad things are going to be. He's going to dictate how the market will behave today. Now, look, I've never understood the hype about this Jackson Hole annual symposium. Nothing ever comes out of this. It's absolutely a nothing burger every year, and it never surprises me otherwise. It's always the same nonsense. He comes out, regurgitates things he already said in the past. There's nothing to be excited about. Now, I know people want for this Messiah character coming from the mountain, basically giving us information about how good or bad things are going to be. In fact, the only reason we even have these meetings is because in 1982, the Kansas City Fed were looking for a prominent speaker for their annual meeting. They were trying to convince Paul Volcker, remember him, to come in and speak. So they held the meeting at Jackson Hole, the fly fishing mecca, and that's how they got him to come. And ever since then, it's basically a tradition now. So this whole Jackson Hole is just another way for the media to pump headlines, but there's nothing that will come out of it. In fact, I have some very harsh opinions about what's going to happen, and I don't think none of this will be a result of what happens or being said at Jackson Hole. I feel that given what happened with student loans just a few days ago, we're in for a very interesting time. If you look at how the politicians have been behaving over the past few weeks, it's clear that everybody's focused on midterms in November. This is the go-to date. November is everything. If the Democrats can't actually take control, they're going to have a very rough 2 years. In fact, it might be even a situation where they become a lame duck because they would not be able to manage the country properly. So winning the midterms is critical. So far, the performance of this administration, let's say, wasn't so brilliant. Let's not talk about everything that happened. It's in the past, but you know, they don't have a lot to show for. Nothing of their initiatives actually worked. Not the universal global tax thing that fizzled out. Not Afghanistan. You remember what happened in Afghanistan. Not the tax reform. Not the Build Back Better Act. Nothing. In fact, even this student loan debacle, which was a pretty much economic bribe for the elections, even that got half-assed. They don't have a lot to show for. The only thing that can save the Democrats in the upcoming midterms in November, in about 2.5 months, is if the stock market goes on the crazy rally. Because then you have to understand people have short memories. At least the general public, they don't have a long memory. So if the market goes kaboom, everybody going to be ecstatic and they're going to get a lot of votes. People have short memories. So there is a political incentive here for the Federal Reserve to say, well, look, inflation is slowing down. We went down from 8.6 to 8.1, right? The real estate market is cooling off. Retail is definitely cooling off. Even Nvidia just told us that their demand is coming down. So the market is already slowing down. We can actually relax this tightening. We don't need to be as harsh. So I think that the Fed might make this into a political decision on how to move forward. Because right now, the S&P 500 is down 13% year to date. And if you actually take into account the fact that on a good year, on the normal year, the S&P 500 does 8%, it's about 20% off the benchmark. Why do we have a 20% of the benchmark here? Well, because everything is already priced in. Inflation, energy shortages, the war in Ukraine, basically a recession, everything you can think of in some context has been priced in, baked in into this S&P 500 market price. So what happens, and I'm just speculating here, if Jerome Powell comes out, not saying it's going to happen today, in fact, I'm almost positive it probably won't happen today because Jackson Hole traditionally doesn't really give us some exciting news. But what happens if in the next 2 to 3 weeks, the Fed comes out and says, hey guys, you know how we said we're going to end the year at 4%, 4.5%? Look at the market. I mean, it's pretty much self-correcting. We won inflation, right? We beat it. Think about it like the George Bush speech on that carrier. We won, you know, the Iraqi war. You remember what happened? So if the Fed actually does the we won claim and we beat inflation and they basically slow down the QT until the end of the year just to get through the midterms, the stock market might actually rally. But I don't think it's going to be a sustainable rally because obviously it's going to bring back inflation through the back door bigger and better than it ever was, and it will be a critical mistake. But the rally will be there for a few weeks or months, so God knows how long. So in fact, with everything oversold and with all these negative worst case scenarios priced in, all we need is Jerome Powell to say something good or positive or slightly dovish to send people back into the stock market, which might be, you know, long-term a horrible idea, but in the short term, who knows? Well, comment below. Let me know what you guys think. One more thing before I let you go. Elon Musk scored a huge win yesterday. Now, yesterday, all the headlines were, wow, Twitter won against Elon Musk because the court said that his request for information is absolutely absurd. And yet the bottom line was that the court actually gave Elon what he wanted, which is basically information about all the accounts they reviewed for bots. I think 9,000 accounts, historical accounts. That is what he was going for. He asked for everything to get the one piece he needed. So basically, you know, it's like negotiating a car. Like you trying to buy a car at 20 grand and you're saying, well, I'll pay you 12. And at some point you negotiate, you get it at 20. But here he negotiated 12 and he got it at 15. So he got it like 5,000 below what he was actually willing to pay. So he got all the information he requested originally and Twitter wouldn't give him through the court, even though the court said, hey, you asked for too much. Of course, that's a negotiation tactic. So Elon is actually winning right now in court, and he seems to be winning in PR court. And God knows what this whistleblower has to say more, because we just heard a little taste, just a tip of what he has to say. So Twitter right now, that's very, very shaky. Hey, let me know below what you guys think. And that's it for today. See you tomorrow.
Straight up.